Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Midwestern Archaeology Podcast. My name is Lee Strange. Oftentimes, when archaeologists describe past cultures and societies, it can be difficult to picture not only the artifacts, but the people themselves, as they would have looked hundreds or thousands of years ago. There are a few select people today that strive to bring those long gone days to life through art and visual mediums. Today, I am joined by one such archaeologic illustrator, Ren Harvey. Harvey has created countless drawings and illustrations depicting pre-contact artifact and peoples. Part of her process in creating these beautiful illustrations is working closely with both academic and avocational archaeologists to ensure accuracy. The result is something that is both unique and evoking. Ren, thank you very much for being with me today.
Thank you, and thank you for that introduction. I'm proud to be here.
So I wanted to ask you, because you've got a interesting journey that you've been on. So, can you tell us a little bit about your early life and when you first became interested in archaeology and history and all of that?
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey, all right. Tennessee Crossroads did a little TV program on me many years ago, talking about this journey because I've done a little bit of everything, and it's come full circle, which I'll try to explain in bullet points here.
Sure.
I grew up in Paris, Ontario, which was a town of I think 4,000 people when I was running around and biking around as a kid. And I was surrounded by cornfields. And I remember there was a creek and there was a pond, and we would run around in these cornfields. And I started like getting interested in rocks and minerals and fossils. And I'd just be out there for hours looking for that kind of stuff. Well, then one day I found an arrowhead. And like many, I was blown away, and of course, back then you had to go to the library. I kinda knew what it was, but when I was shocked to read how old it was, and that was it. It was over. I mean, there was no more fossils or crystals. I knew I wanted to do archaeology, and the thing that's interesting, a lot of people don't know, but in Ontario, you have to have a license. You cannot pick up artifacts and keep them. It's actually against the law. And is that true now? I'm not 100% sure, but it was when I was in high school. So I spent a year doing survey work with Dr. Fitzgerald at Western University in London, Ontario. And he poured into me. He taught me how to draw survey maps and about debitage and the different types of flakes and points and because he was almost like a mentor or sponsor, the government gave me a license, and I was the first high school age person to get a license in Ontario. And to keep that
Wow.
license, you have to do an archaeological report. It's gotta have numbers and maps, and it needs to be all done properly, or you will not be renewed. So it was a big deal, and I have my collection with me here in Tennessee. I let the Royal Ontario Museum know every time I move. They've actually contacted me about 5 years ago. Someone wanted to build on one of my sites from high school, and,
Oh,
so,
wow.
I you just it's bizarre. Yeah, but you certainly cannot sell artifacts. Holy moly, it's totally against the law, you know? So when I came to the United States and,
Mm.
oh, I'm like, "This is" but, you can just do whatever you want. So it's a bit different in Ontario, but what got me my education was the fact that I was a cross country and track runner, and I was actually one of Canada's best, and I traveled the world junior team, and what happened was there's no scholarships in Canada for sports. I was recruited pretty heavily to come to the US, and my parents didn't have anything. I
Mhm.
mean, I don't even know what would happen with my life if it wasn't for running. And, after a long decision, I decided to go to the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. And lucky for me, that anthropology archaeology program was considered outstanding, you know, almost to the level of a Harvard.
Mm.
And at the time, this is what I was told. So I studied under Dr. O'Shea and actually did some work for Milford Wolpoff too, human evolution. And I did
Mm.
lithic illustration. I illustrated bones of Neanderthals and I did all kinds of crazy things. And so, yeah, my archaeology continued at Michigan just 'cause, that's how I was getting my degree. But I also was running at a very, very high level, and, when you're a Division I athlete
Mm.
on scholarship, it's a lot.
Mm.
So, did that, graduated with back then it was called a cultural anthropology degree with a specialty in archaeology, and then Michigan gave me another year scholarship, and I didn't even have any eligibility. That was probably $30,000 back then, and they let me
Wow.
study scientific illustration at the art school. So Michigan gave me a lot. I mean, they really helped
Mm.
me, and, I'll never forget what they've done for me. But what's weird is I ended up being a college coach. So I
Mm.
didn't do any archaeology after college. I became, a college coach at the University of Illinois. Funny enough, because of course, there's another amazing archaeology school, and here I am buried. When you're a Division I coach, it's even harder than an athlete. You live and breathe
Mm.
building that program, recruiting, you're traveling all the time. So, I did that for 5 years, and then I ended up at another great archaeology school, Florida State. And once again, doing no
Mm.
archaeology, doing no art. I coached for 15 years, but ended up it's a very hard life. It's a very hard life. If you wanna win,
Mhm.
you have no life. And I like but, yeah, so I did
Oh.
the college coaching and, actually retired very young from college coaching, and I guess you can say I quit. Yeah, there was a bunch of things going on that, I obviously am not gonna put on this podcast, but it just
Mhm.
that's not who I am. I'm not gonna be part of that, and I don't like winning that bad. So I retired from college
Right.
coaching in 2015, and I had a friend in Nashville, and I was like, "I'm just gonna move there. This sounds great." So I did, and then a friend at work said I got a job, just a mailroom job, and a friend at work goes, "Hey, I heard you like archaeology and used to collect artifacts." And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Do you wanna come out and look for artifacts with me?" And I go, "Yes." And so he took me, and back I go, right back to being in that cornfield
Mhm.
as a kid, and as you know, Tennessee is loaded with
Mhm.
prehistory and just gorgeous artifacts. So I started doing that. I started hunting artifacts again, and then one day I was like, I should combine my love of artifacts and what I'm learning about Tennessee and make it with art. And I'm like, I don't know
Mm.
that anyone's really doing this. And so I
Mhm.
started on that journey. I made that decision, and I mean, I guess that probably really seriously happened in 2017. And
Mm.
I started going to shows, I think, in 2018, artifact shows, and it's just taken off. I mean, it's just I've met so many people.
Right.
It's been amazing.
No, that is really interesting. I'm curious, so, like, when you were going through these episodes of life where you couldn't really do any archaeology, you were too busy as a coach and as an athlete to kind of go out on digs. Were you still thinking about it during those years? Were you wishing that you could be
No,
getting more involved with,
nope.
um really?
You are in absolutely. I would say I was a borderline workaholic. I mean, but we were
Really?
winning, and I was paid to win. And being a
Yeah.
former elite athlete, I love winning. Like, it's just in your blood,
Mhm.
But it was a little
Mhm.
much, and you're surrounded by that culture. All the
Mhm.
other coaches from all the other programs at your university, and it's just it can be very, very unhealthy. It really I'm
Yeah.
just glad I was smart enough to get out when I did. So, yeah, I've
Mhm.
never looked back. I know the universe had this plan for me, and I have
Mm.
this is my purpose, is to bring the
Mhm.
ancient people alive again and to help
Yeah.
archaeologists, museums visually show the public what they may have looked like, what they, may have worn, how
Mhm.
they may have used these tools, villages, and all this stuff. It's become my
Yeah.
purpose.
Whether you're 8 or 80, there's something for everyone at the Archaeological Research Institute. Join a kids' dig, take an immersive tour, learn ancient skills in our experimental lab, or try our virtual reality experiences. ARI makes archaeology accessible, hands on, and fun for all ages. Come play in the dirt or just watch others do it. Find programs at exploreari.org. Yeah, and also from an educational perspective, I think illustrations like the ones that you have made are invaluable, especially for kids who, if you list off a bunch of facts, I know this personally because I we have a bunch of field trips that come by. It's one thing to just kind of say a bunch of stuff about, the people that lived here, but then to have a visual and to be able to see what we think, something, how they may have used certain objects and on their body and stuff like that, it's very powerful. And so that's why I think not just archaeologic illustrators, but paleontological illustrators and
Yeah,
science illustrators. And I just think it's such a cool thing to get into. And I also like to draw a little bit, and it is a little bit of a dream of mine to get into archaeologic illustration as well. So it's also really cool
good,
to
you're
talk with
young.
you,
You're
to
young.
hear your experience. Yes.
Good.
Yep.
That's wonderful. I'm
So
so happy to hear that.
So you were interested in making art from a young age, I understand, because it kind of seems like you have those two passions, archaeology and creating art, that you kind of had that moment of revelation to kind of cross and combine the two. But before that, what was your path as an artist and as an illustrator? Was it just kind of something you did in your free time? And what was that journey like?
I know I was drawn to cartoons. I would say I was a cartoonist for a very
Mm,
long time. Even in high school, my work that my art teachers would push me to get away from cartoons. And they're still on my Facebook today. They comment on all my posts, my art teachers from high school. I mean, they
that's
were
so sweet.
oh my gosh. And I mean, I'm old. I'm 53, and they're on my Facebook, and I just think back to them, and I remember them pushing me to quiet down the cartoonish look of my realistic work,
Mhm,
and I remember, it was hard on me. I remember feeling like they were being pretty hard on me, but thank God they did.
mhm,
They pushed me. They pushed me to be able to do both, and I can
mhm,
today do both. And, I did
mm.
I studied scientific illustration at Michigan, but it was, like, literally 1 class or 2 classes.
Right.
My art background
Mm,
comes from my high school teachers in Paris, Ontario, and YouTube.
mm.
I learned so much from other
Wow.
artists that I respect, and I will watch them do an entire painting. I will watch them do
Yeah.
graphite work, and the ones I really respect, I don't watch everybody. I mean, no one has time for that. But I always tell people you can
Yeah.
do a lot from YouTube. You don't have to go to art school. Now,
Mhm.
if someone's a serious
Yeah.
artist, I wish I had gone to art school, and I would
Mm,
recommend it, if you can.
mhm.
But if you can't and you're later on in life, watch YouTube. Find your favorite artists and, try to learn their technique or watch how they're mixing colors. And, between my art teachers and YouTube, and obviously thousands of hours of practice. Yeah, my
Right,
art is,
right.
I mean, without tooting my own horn, I know my art gets better every year because of all of that.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. I was curious, so after you kind of finished your career, in sports and athletics, did you have a moment where you had to kinda start, not necessarily start from scratch, but I'm not sure, were you making art during those years when you were, coaching and as an
0.
athlete, or did you kinda have to start from square one a little bit? Really?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I obviously did. Okay, so at Michigan, I did lots of art. I illustrated lithics. Like I said, I worked on 3 textbooks, Milford Wolpoff on human evolution. I
Mm,
was working for McGraw-Hill Publishing, as a sophomore in college.
Wow.
And I don't even know how
Wow.
I got that lucky. I did forensic reconstructions for Dr. Milford Wolpoff of a Neanderthal and some,
Mm.
Chinese Homo sapiens, and not many people had ever done that
Wow.
back in the '90s.
That's really
Uh,
cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was I mean, I've been very it's just so interesting to me that I spent 15 years coaching, doing next to no artwork. I'm telling you, next to none. And then all of a
Mm.
sudden, I'm right back doing what I love again. Finding artifacts. I still go out in Middle Tennessee and try to recover some, knowing they're gonna get broke eventually by something. I go to all these artifact shows. I have met so many collectors, heard so many incredible
Mhm.
stories. I do know one of the turning points for me was meeting Stephen Cooper, who is the editor
Mhm.
of the Central States magazine, and he took a big interest in me,
Mhm.
was wonderful and really mentored me along. And he introduced me well, what told me about Dr. Kevin Smith, he passed away actually when I was at the Collinsville show. I left
Mm.
early. I couldn't I couldn't be there. Yeah, it I couldn't anyways, he Dr. Kevin Smith, I remember where I was when he called me for the first time, and I'm like, "This man is, like, one of the greatest archaeologists there is, and he is talking to me right now." And it was a big damn deal.
A good feeling.
I was freaking
Yeah.
out, and he's like, "I've been looking for someone like you," and I'm like, "What?" And he really took me under his
Wow.
wing, and I could ask him all kinds of questions about the Mississippians, and then he introduced to Dr. Robert Sharp and Dr. David Dye, and I was in the room with all 3 of
Mm.
them, I think in 2018, and I was like, "Someone fricking pinch me, like, what?" That they're talking to this squirrely former Division I coach, this crazy artist, and,
Mm.
I'm a very lucky person that they even talk to me, and so anyways, you know how it is when you're networking and, I start trying to get other archaeologists and anthropologists to talk to me, and if I tell them, "Hey, listen, these 3 guys," all of a sudden they think you're credible. Like, and it built, and
Yeah.
and I've had incredible opportunities ever since. So, yeah, there's no
Mm.
way the universe is not aligning this for me because I've been very lucky.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious, so kind of focusing or turning our focus more to your subjects themselves that you are creating and drawing. So what do you really like to focus on when it comes to the things that you choose to draw about? And is there a particular region of the country that you like to keep your archaeological illustrations to, or is it more broad or more general?
I think it's mostly been the Midwest, Southeast. I've not done
Mhm.
anything for the West yet, but yeah, my favorite things to draw are humans. I
Yeah,
love to do portraits. I don't know why,
yeah.
but when those
Your portraits are beautiful.
thank you.
Yeah.
I love doing it because they come alive. All of a sudden you're in the studio
Mhm.
which is my tiny apartment, but there's hardly anywhere there's nowhere to sit really. So, if you were to visit,
Mm.
bring a chair. I just have art tables,
Yes, yes.
stools everywhere. But I
That's
I
awesome.
I love I love the human face, the challenge of it,
Mm,
and the stories that can come through those eyes to the viewer.
mhm,
And no matter what, you connect with a portrait because it is another human face and there's connection there. And that's a big thing. But when I can combine a portrait with ancient tattoos that we think, the Hopewell, the Adena, the Mississippians, we think they had ancient,
mhm,
what did they look like? And, archaic, they're wearing a slate gorget. And, when I can combine the
mm,
artifacts and the knowledge that today, 2025, we believe, that is wicked.
Yeah.
That is very special to me. I am working on eventually being able to do more site reconstructions. I don't get a lot of requests for
Mm,
those. I may have some from
okay.
your institute. I'm gonna be chatting with Liz.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
yeah, so I'm willing to do that work, and learn. But yes, I've still lifes of artifacts. The collectors out there just love if you will paint or draw their favorite arrowhead. I mean, it's like their pet.
Oh,
It's
nice.
like a Labrador, like they are.
Yeah.
And I see, and they share some of the most incredible stories and photos with me, and they're so proud of
Mm,
this piece that they're, keeping, and it. They share
mhm,
this stuff with me, and it's so special. And they're so excited to have me do this still life of their artifacts.
mm.
It's a great honor to do that.
History isn't just in the books, it's in the soil, the stones, and the stories of your region. Join ARI's regional archaeological tours and explore hidden sites, historic landscapes, and the places where history happened. Led by real archaeologists filled with real discoveries. See the land like you've never seen it before. Check out our tour dates at exploreari.org.
That's awesome. Yeah, you've mentioned a few of the cultures that ARI particularly studies, the Hopewell and also Fort Ancient. But I was also drawn to your illustrations of Adena artifacts because I feel like not a ton of people, at least in my own anecdotal experience, have not heard of the Adena, but there's some really interesting artifacts that they made. I think my favorite of yours that I saw was the Adena plate, like the Adena
Yes.
tablet. That one is really, really cool. Me and one of my friends slash coworkers spent hours talking about the Adena tablets. Such an interesting
Mhm.
group of artifacts that there's not a lot of context for. We don't know much about them, but they're very
No.
intriguing.
Well, get ready because there's a book coming out. Jason Pentrell, he is on the
Really?
Seven Ages podcast. Jason Pentrell,
Mm,
that that tablet, the painting of that
okay.
tablet is going on the cover of his book. I was hoping he was gonna have it done in time for the
Really?
show, but it's gonna come out last time I spoke to him, it was gonna come out late fall. But he's written a book on the Paleo-Indian people too. He's brilliant, and, me to do this
Hmm,
painting with red ochre. He wanted red ochre on it, on that tablet, and I'm like, "Oh, heck
hmm.
yeah." The Adena are I mean, they remind me a lot of the Hopewell. They were so ceremonial and
Yeah.
with their effigies, and can
Mhm.
you imagine being at one of these ceremonies and what they were like,
Oh my
the
gosh.
dances and the chants and oh, I
Mhm.
wanna draw all of it, like, I
I
see it in
know,
my
I
head,
know. Yes, no, and I can't wait for the day that you do because I will be very much looking forward to that. Well, because the Adena, they are kind of thought to be, at least like the Ohio tradition of mound building, the first to kinda do it, and then obviously the Hopewell came after them, but Great Serpent Mound, which I don't know if you've ever been over there, it's
No.
super cool, very beautiful. It's not super far away, I think it's in Southern Ohio, but that's thought to be kind of an Adena associated site, so definitely really, really cool. You also mentioned the Mississippians as well, so where with these kind of cultures that you're drawing on, that you're hoping to depict, what are your sources that you draw on for kind of inspiration about what you are portraying, but then also like factually, what do you kind of draw on? Because I understand that there are some like colonial era accounts, like historic accounts that you also draw on as well, like illustrations and stuff.
Yeah, well, I did recently, well, not recently, good lord, when was that? 2019? No, it came out 2020. I did a book with Helen Roundtree, and of course, it was launched during COVID, so forget there to be any book launch at all. We were gonna have a book launch ceremony on Roanoke Island where This book
Whoa.
was on the Croatan and the Lost Colony, which is a big
Mm.
fabled myth as to where the British colony
Right.
went, and anyone can research the Lost Colony. I'm not gonna go into details about it, but,
Mhm.
that was the more historic one that I've not done a no, I've just recently done another historic one. Well, John White was an artist from Britain, and he came over, because the Queen wanted to colonize the New World, and this was 1584, and so before Jamestown. And they came over, I think,
Mhm.
on one boat, I'm not quite sure, but he was to, quote, "draw the savages," and he wasn't even a trained artist, but there's no iPhone. How you need to show the queen what they were wearing, what did their ceremonies look like, just all the stuff we're still interested in
Mhm.
today, and so I studied these watercolors from 1584, still exist, they're in
Wow.
the British Museum, unbelievable details that they show for an untrained artist. And I worked with Helen
Mhm.
Roundtree. She's an anthropologist, and we made the people in those paintings look more native. He had really kind of like jacked up their
Mm.
faces, and the one lady had two left feet, and uh, in his painting.
Oh.
So, yeah, there was a bunch of stuff that yeah, we used her knowledge of the people and maybe what he was trying to tell us, but made it more crystal clear and made them look more native. And I did 12 watercolors for her in that book. And then just
Wow.
recently, I did something very similar for the Grand Village. There is a brand new Grand Village for the Natchez people. It is opening 2026, I think,
Whoa.
fall, and they contacted me because they saw my John White paintings, and they're like, "This is someone that can
Wow.
take the engravings of the French explorers," which also made the native
Mm.
people look like Mongols. I mean, I don't even know, they didn't even look like they had
Yeah.
real faces. And so and the
Yeah.
Natchez people also said, "This isn't right, this isn't right." And so I talked to
Mm.
Natchez scholars, the chief of the Natchez people. I was so
Wow.
nervous. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm sweating."
Wow.
And he was, like, on a Zoom call, like, pulling out, like, this is what this woulda looked like items of clothes and colors,
Mm.
and so I worked with all these people for months on 3 paintings,
Mm.
and I delivered them. Actually, I met them just past Memphis and delivered these paintings, and those paintings will be in the museum next year. I mean, just freaking so
Oh my gosh.
by that.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
To have the Natchez people be like, "This is how we looked," I know that those engravings were from the
Mm.
1700s, but this is how we looked. We don't want those engravings
Mm.
hung in our new museum. We want these. And I'm like, "Oh, no
Yeah.
pressure." And I
Right.
think something that your listeners will be very interested in is something I'm working on at this very moment.
Mm.
In fact, 10 minutes before the
Yeah.
call, I just finished one drawing. I am working with Dr. David Dye from University of Memphis on recreating the Spirit Lodge at Spiro in Oklahoma,
Wow.
and
Wow.
I know I feel a massive amount of pressure when I even think about this. So, Spiro, I have listened to Dr. Riley for years. He, Mississippian archaeology guru, Eric Singleton, anyone about
Mm.
Spiro, any YouTube, any podcast, I've heard it all, probably several times. And then Dr. Dye said he's creating this
That's
manuscript.
dedication.
Oh, I'm a nut. I'm a crazy nut about Spiro. And I've told everyone about it, they just look at me like they're not. I try to get people interested, but
Okay, no, I have recently been made aware of this site, and I have to say the pottery that I've seen from the site is crazy. It's so cool, and also just what it's so interesting. So, sorry, not
oh, it's
not to
basically
interrupt.
King Tut's tomb. They literally put that in the
Yeah.
newspaper in the 1930s. And, I won't if anyone's listening to this, you need to, like, search Spyro on YouTube and
Oh,
go
yes,
into it,
that's
because like, the
mandatory.
artifacts that came out of it,
Mm.
It was the way it was discovered and all that, it's not the greatest fun story. We can't go back in
Mm.
time and stop this from happening. It happened. It was during the Depression, and a
Oh, I
bunch
see,
of
okay.
guys did it. They were not archaeologists. They dug into the side of the mountain. They were looking to sell
Oh, I see.
art because they were
Sell stuff, yeah.
people were desperate to feed their
Right.
families, and but, Dr. Ken O'Reilly, if you listen to his YouTubes, his lectures, he talks about
Mhm.
all of this. He tells the stories. He has passed away
Mm.
and fairly recently. So here I am getting this email from Dr. Dye saying, "I'm doing a manuscript on the Spirit Lodge for the Journal of Ethnohistory." And, so he goes, "I need you to illustrate all the" how many is it? 6 deities that were in the Spirit Lodge, and
Wow.
I believe
Wow.
that no one is allowed to use photographs of artifacts, like,
Mhm.
I don't know if you know that. I There's something going on with the tribal
Yeah,
office, and the quote unquote "rules and
yeah,
laws." So here I said to Dr. Dye, I'm
yeah,
like, I know that's, like, horrible, but for me, I'm like, "I'm right here. I'll do it. I've already been doing it." I'll draw those
yeah.
pipes, and here I am, I finished red horn. The red horn pipe is done. I did, 3 different views of it.
Wow.
I did the vulture pipe, which I've actually seen in person.
Mm.
Those were both in the spirit lodge.
Wow.
I just finished Corn Mother right before I came on for this recording. Corn Mother was in the center of the lodge, and
Mm.
so we're doing, and I've got, Turtle Man to do, who is doing a human sacrifice on this pipe. He's literally cutting off some guy's
Wow.
jaw in a sculpture on a pipe.
Wow.
Like, these people were brilliant,
Yeah.
and then the
Yeah,
last
yeah,
one
yeah.
is the 3 cedar statues that were on the east side. One is considered first man, and the other 2 are considered the twins, the hero twins. Um,
Mm.
so once all these black and
Wow.
white drawings are done of all these different views, the hardest part is coming. That he wants me to do a color painting of inside the spirit lodge and what it woulda looked like, and
Wow.
it is going to be the biggest challenge of my life because the thing was full.
Yeah, for your imagining, kind of rendering of that space, what exactly are you drawing on? Like, how are you recreating that space, or how are you planning to recreate that space?
I'm still working on that. I probably fall asleep thinking about it. I wake up
Fair
thinking
enough.
about it. But yeah, I have Dr. Dye's manuscript. I have James Brown's
Mm.
manuscript. They're both very much in alignment as to how these objects were
Yeah.
in the spirit lodge because no photographs were taken. It
Mm.
was it was like descriptions from the miners, quote unquote, from 1930s and what was left and not destroyed when the archaeologists came in. So you
Yeah.
have years of people trying to figure out, is this exactly how it was placed in the spirit lodge? What does it mean? We
Mm.
have photographs of some of the tapestries that survived. The brilliant and
Really?
vibrant colors, 600-year-old tapestries. There was baskets, gallons of
My goodness.
pearls, 100 shell cups. I mean, I can go on and on, like stone maces, woodpecker axes. I'm telling you, it was like King Tut's tomb. It was full of their most prized,
Yeah.
powerful possessions because they were trying to restart the
Mhm.
dawn of time. They were suffering from
Mm.
years and years of drought. People were dying, crops were failing, and they all came together to recreate time. That's how desperate they were.
Yeah.
And here they brought their very best of everything. And it's just holy crap. I mean, just thinking about uh, they're very complex people, very complex. We say they're ancient, and we hardly know anything. Think about there's next to no
Right.
wood that's been Can you imagine what they carved out of wood and made out of wood? Incredible things. So, yeah, Spyro, please
Yeah.
look it up. Please, please.
It was kind of a little bit on my radar, but now after this ringing endorsement, I'm going to go full tilt Spyro. Yeah, if there's anyone that you know specifically that I could interview about Spyro mounds, that would be really cool because I would love to get like
Highly recommend
also wanted
Dr. Dye. He is his brain is
Dr. Dime.
yeah, his brain is ginormous. I mean, the man is
Okay,
brilliant.
okay.
And also, he's an archaeologist. He's done all kinds of field
Hmm.
work and data. But guess who else he studies? The tribes today. He studies the cultural tribes
Really?
today and historically, and that's how he's been able to decipher the Mississippian world because he's talking to elders.
Mm,
And he's piecing all this
yeah.
together. That's how Dr. Kevin Smith was too. Not all archaeologists get into connecting the today's tribes and elders and the distant past, but there is a connection. Of course, you need to be really
Yeah,
smart.
absolutely.
Yeah, but I mean, I know other archaeologists. I can give you more names later that I think would be great interviews for you for different
Sure.
time periods and stuff.
Yeah.
But, of course, I'm working with him right now on this project, so, I wanted to mention him.
At ARI, we identify, preserve, and responsibly explore archaeological sites in southeast Indiana, southwestern Ohio, and northern Kentucky. Our volunteers are one of the driving forces behind this mission, from participating in archaeological digs, assisting in lab work, artifact processing, and supporting field trips and fundraising. Every role helps us move forward. With just a 1 hour training, you'll gain new skills, meet new people, enjoy nature, and make a real impact. Volunteering with ARI means joining a community passionate about history and preserving it for generations to come. Join us at ARI, be a part of history, be a part of the future.
For sure, for sure. Well, I think okay, so this is kind of something that I was kind of thinking as we were talking. It seems like your work kind of draws on so many different parts of this world that they're studying. So you've got avocational archaeologists, you've got academic archaeologists, and then of course you have the native descendants and the tribes themselves that you are kind of all drawing on. And I feel like that is just kind of a great model for how archaeology and how we should imagine the past. We should be drawing on all of these kind of sources of knowledge to kind of understand and imagine and enrich our own lives by learning more about it. So I just think that's really cool.
Thank you. I thank you. I really enjoy it, and, it's been a lot of years and a lot of work, and, I live a pretty simple life. As you know, and here,
Mm.
starving artists, it's a real thing, and luckily for me, I can live in 740 square feet, and it doesn't even bother me. It doesn't bother me at all, and
Yeah,
I'm not a material person, and so because it's just me and my dog, I've been able to do this, and I quit my job. I was
yeah,
working 2 jobs. I was working in a mailroom 30 hours a week, and then
yeah.
I was doing art
Mm.
until I went to bed, and I would do art on weekends, and,
Wow.
and I'm like, "Geez, I'm not getting any younger. I don't really love this." And, I'm turning down commission after commission.
Yeah,
I can't keep up, and so,
right.
I eventually sold my condo and used the proceeds of my condo to just kind of help me do like, really focus on art for now, and, it's
Yeah,
going great, and I am very grateful.
that's amazing. Yeah, that's and it's also very inspirational too. I think it's really amazing the journey that you've been on. I want to respect your time. You know, we're getting close to an hour. So I'll just close with one more question, which kind of already answered regarding your Spirit Lodge project, but is there anything that we can be on the lookout for that Ren Harvey's doing, or just social medias? Like, what's the best place to see your art and experience what you've got going on?
Well, I'm excited to work with your institute. Got a list of possible
Yeah.
projects, yeah, that Liz sent me, and part of me wishes I lived a lot closer to Lawrenceburg because I would just
Mm,
be there all the
mm.
time. Y'all are like the coolest
Yeah.
people, you know? I met so many of you last year
Thank you.
at the Artifact show, and
Yeah.
I love what you're doing for the youth and just your
Mm,
awareness, and
mm,
just everything is so professionally done. I've been very impressed, and,
mm.
maybe I
Thank
should
you.
move there, I don't know.
Thank you.
Maybe I should.
Hey, I
Yeah.
mean, it's not a bad place to be. You're right by the Ohio.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, so I've got a list of drawings that I'd like to work with your institute on, and that's definitely coming up. And then I have the Kentucky Dam Artifact Show, which is November 8th.
Mm,
Wait a minute, 7th, 8th, and 9th. And I'm going to be painting a man smoking the beaver pipe, which is considered one of the most exquisite artifacts ever recovered. And I am
wow.
reading Perino's book right now on where more about the grave that pipe was found in, so I could learn a little bit more maybe about who this man was, how he may have looked. That's big on my radar is that pipe, and probably a lot more hope
Yeah.
stuff coming. I do need to do Fort Ancient. I really haven't
Yeah.
done a lot of Fort Ancient. So, I mean, the sky's the limit. Whatever
Mm.
the universe sends my way, I'm hoping I can tackle it. But yeah, the color space
Yeah,
lodge
absolutely.
is a massive, like, hopefully I won't have a nervous breakdown trying to figure out how to
No,
do
no, I'm
justice
sure
to it.
you're gonna do great.
I have to do it. It
Is,
doesn't matter if I get worried, scared, or overwhelmed. The universe has aligned this, and I really,
That's
in
right.
honor of Dr. Kent Riley alone, I need to do it, and I'm
Mm.
and I'm honored to do it.
When can we expect that project to kinda wrap up and be available to see?
Well,
That might be a little bit of a scary question.
yeah, yeah. Well, the best way to view my art is on Facebook. I don't have a web page.
Okay.
It's just Ren Harvey, Ren Harvey. You won't see any political posts. You may see my dog once in a while, but
Mm.
it's just my art. Occasionally, an artifact I found. So that's the best way to follow my work. You will see my spiral
Okay.
drawings on there. But as far as the painting of the Spirit Lodge, I definitely by the end of the year, I have to, 'cause, Dr. Dye needs
Mhm.
it. So, I would say definitely by the end of the year, and because right
Gotcha.
now, we've talked about it, I've read about it, but we haven't, like, talked about the painting
Mhm.
itself yet. Painting of that
Mm.
magnitude is probably gonna be 60 to 70 hours, and it will be a big canvas.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Golly.
I and it
Um,
probably it deserves more than that, but I'm gonna give it all I have.
I look forward to it being completed and to see what kinda comes from the collaboration between you and, ARI. Very much excited about that.
Me too.
Um, so thank you so much, Ren.